Ukraine and Russia have agreed on humanitarian corridors to evacuate thousands of civilians. Eastern regions of Ukraine are bracing for a new Russian offensive there. More than 100,000 people are believed trapped in the city of Mariupol, which has been under intense bombardment for weeks. Local officials have said as many as 5,000 civilians may have been killed in that city. Ukrainians are fleeing the eastern Donbas region, which has been partially controlled by Russian-backed separatists since 2014. Now, satellite images show a convoy of hundreds of Russian military vehicles heading for the Donbas region, and that's making the evacuation of civilians all the more urgent. And our correspondent, Rebecca Ritters, has seen what some of that evacuation looks like. Rebecca, thanks for joining us. What is, first of all, the latest from Luhansk, that region that's part of Donbas in the east?
Well, we are starting to see come to fruition what we've been expecting, the regrouping of Russian troops and the pivot to focus on the southeast of Ukraine and the south and the east, including Luhansk and Donetsk, as you just mentioned. Luhansk, it's prompted a stronger effort to get people out of there. Luhansk governor has basically told everyone to get out while they still can. Unfortunately, not everyone is heeding that warning. There are still apparently 30% of people staying in Luhansk. I actually met a guy who was reporting down in the region close near there, and I spoke to a gentleman at the train station, and he broke down in tears as he was describing to me that some of his friends from the Luhansk and Donetsk region were actually choosing to stay. They'd already lost everything in the battle in 2014, and they weren't going to leave again. They said if the Russians come in, they're just going to fight them. And he was really obviously very upset. I mean, everyone has seen the pictures from Mariupol, as you just mentioned, and also around Kiev in Bucha, and nobody wants those kind of atrocities happening to their towns and villages, William.
Rebecca, you're also in Dnipro, another city. It's in central eastern Ukraine, and it's become something of a hub for internally displaced Ukrainians. What did you see there?
Well, Dnipro is a transport hub in that region. It services the south and the southeast. We were at the train station doing some reporting yesterday, and we saw thousands of people evacuating. Thousands of people have already come through there, and they're expecting thousands more. The situation, of course, was pretty tense yesterday because it was just shortly after, a day after that bombing at the train station in Kramatorsk, which was just 200 or so kilometres from Dnipro. So authorities were on really high alert there yesterday, really worried that a similar attack might take place there. A lot of the people I spoke to just had come from the regions that we're speaking about, those Luhansk and Donetsk regions, but they just had no idea where they were going to end up. There is a shelter there. People are providing support for the people that come through there, but they're not really able to stay in Dnipro either. The mayor of Dnipro has ordered all women and children to leave the area because they're worried that the fighting is going to also reach that city.
It's difficult to imagine just what people are facing as they're trying to find some semblance of safety in Ukraine. And you saw some of that traveling back to Lviv, where you are now, by train, which a lot of people are using. What kind of experience did you have? What kind of people did you come across on that journey?
Well, it was an incredibly bittersweet experience, really. I mean, you see a relief in some faces, but on the other side, you see the sadness. They're having to leave people behind. So we saw, people we were on the train with waving to their loved ones on the platform who were both relieved that their relatives were getting to safety, but obviously not knowing when or if they're going to see them again. So obviously, there was a lot of sadness on the train. The journey itself was relatively normal. I mean, Ukraine railways have been doing an amazing job at keeping this country going, the civilian effort, both by getting aid into places that desperately need it, as well as bringing people out of those hotspot areas. There were a couple of amendments, if you will. The blinds needed to be closed for the entire journey at night. As soon as the sun went down, all the blinds had to be closed so that you're less visible from the sky. And the train also travels at a much slower pace. It took almost twice as long as the normal journey because if anything does happen, if there's any kind of shelling or anything like that, the train needs to be able to stop to evacuate the passengers.
Incredible details there, Rebecca. Thank you so much. Rebecca Ritters speaking to us from Lviv in western Ukraine. And let's get some more developments in the war there. Austrian Chancellor Karl Nehammer is to meet the Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Moscow. He'll be the first European leader to do so since the invasion of Ukraine. Nehammer has been in Kyiv, where he offered humanitarian aid and political support. A grave containing at least 2 civilians has been uncovered in Butsova village near Kyiv. It's the latest burial site identified since Russian forces withdrew from the area to concentrate on eastern Ukraine. The airport in Dnipro, Ukraine's 4th biggest city, has been badly damaged by Russian missile attacks. That's according to the local governor. Thick columns of smoke could be seen rising around the airport.